And we are live. Mile high. Hello, everybody in Broncos country, and welcome into another episode of the Dove Valley Deep Divers Live podcast. I am Lance Sanderson, and joining me, as always, is your Denver Broncos insider. He is your the Mile High Huddle senior NFL draft analyst as well, Erick Trickel. Erick, there's a lot of stuff going on today. We're going to do a kind of a dueling mock draft for everybody. We've already got them done. We're going to kind of break it down for everybody and just kind of give you an idea of what we originally, or what we have on our minds as far as where the Broncos could go in this upcoming draft next Thursday. But before we get into that, there's just a couple of quick things that I wanted to talk to you about. I didn't mention this to you before we got going, and I probably should have, so I do apologize for that. But just a couple of the cornerback rumors floating around right now with Jeff Gladney and some possible character concerns that could drop him down potentially out of the first rounds and give the Broncos a really sneaky good cornerback to target in the second round. And then also one that I saw about AJ Terrell. But first, Erick, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, man. Just with everything going on, just living every day, digging it one day at a time, enjoying what time I have with my mom who's been staying with us and just stuff like that. Just enjoying life.
Yeah, good, man. Been kind of busy on my end. Still over at my buddy's house doing using his internet, but everything's going good on my end. Now, to get into this just quickly before we get going here with Jeff Gladney, I know that you we spoke about this just a little bit in our group chat with Nick and Carl earlier today. Have you heard anything regarding Jeff Gladney and any possible character concerns that might cause him to fall out of the first round of the NFL draft?
Now, Albert Breer is the one who made the report. So
yes, it was.
I'm not trying to smack him down or anything. I mean, obviously, he's definitely more connected with the NFL than I am. Like, no, I'm not arguing that, nothing about it. All I can say is that from what I've heard from the people I've talked to, including somebody at TCU, that there has been no mention about any kind of character concerns with Jeff Gladney. Going back to conversations I had in last December, there's just absolutely been nothing about it. In fact, there's actually been the opposite about how good of a person he is, how good of a teammate, and all this stuff like that. So, I mean, when it comes to stuff like this, as people talk to different people and they hear different things, who knows with Albert Breer, maybe he's just trying to getting it from a team who's just trying to talk him down, trying to get him to fall a little bit. Maybe my guy's just not as connected as he made it out to be when I spoke to him. Who knows? There's a lot of variables in play, but I can just say from the conversations I have had, it doesn't seem to be a concern.
And that's actually news. Good news to hear. Honestly, I really love Jeff Gladney. Very smooth. I love it. I love all of his tape. Everything that I've gotten to see with him. It's just he is a perfect scheme fit for the Broncos as well. And if there is any possibility that the Broncos can trade up and potentially go get him, I would be all for that. Now, the other one that I want to address just quickly is Jeff Kavanaugh, a radio host at 105.3 The Fan down in Dallas. Covering the Dallas Cowboys, says AJ Terrell, the Clemson cornerback, is a name getting kicked around at 17 a lot now. Pencil me as an absolutely not. And to which Dane Brugler, the draft guy at The Athletic, came back and said, if AJ Terrell is available at 17, several teams in the top 16 picks have their eyes on the Clemson cornerback. Terrell is going to go higher than most think. Erick, is there any fire to that rumor, or is there actually a possibility that a team could reach up and take AJ Terrell in the top 15 picks?
So we're what, 6 days until the first round, right?
Yes.
6 days. So here's the thing: is there's this thing called smokescreen, and the smokescreen tend to come out in abundance the final 6 days. I mean, even over the last few days, I've been getting a lot of messages on Twitter and everything about, oh, hey, I saw somebody say this. Can you speak to it? As for this one with AJ Terrell, I have heard that there are a few teams that do like him, that are picking in the top 15, but it's all been followed up with that they weren't sure if they liked him enough to take him there. Okay. So that's something that maybe, depending on how the board falls, maybe it's a team that, okay, we like him as like a late first round, but we have CJ Henderson higher. If he's not there, maybe they decide to go with, okay, we have such a big need at cornerback. Let's go ahead and take him now. Let's reach a little bit just because we have that need. So maybe that's the possibility of what's happening here. But I mean, it's hard to say. I could definitely see it happening. I could see it happening with the Raiders because the Raiders do seem to, especially with Mike Mayock, there's a connection there with Clemson. So maybe that's a possibility there. But I think more likely we'll see him go somewhere from like 16 to 21 than we will seeing him go in the top 15.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense, especially with the Raiders here. And Nick Kendall came on and actually retweeted that tweet from Dane Brugler saying that you watch the Raiders are going to take Terrell at 12 and then go with T. Higgins, the wide receiver from Clemson, at 19 and just shake up the entire draft community doing that. I don't think that's necessarily a possibility, and I don't really buy the hype of AJ Terrell going in the top. In the top 15, top 16 picks. I think that's a little bit heavy for him. But at the same time, I could buy a lot of these rumors going around about CJ Henderson being the number one cornerback on a lot of teams' boards, despite all the issues with tackling. There's a lot that think that he is the best pure cover cornerback in the entire league. Now, before we get going any further here, I did see we did have a super chat jumping in here from Steve Baumgartner. Let me see if I can find him. There he is right there. Steve coming in on YouTube with the $15 donation. Thank you, Steve. We appreciate it. I love all the new stuff you got, the hat, the hoodie, and everything. Hi, guys. Ready for the Roundtable Pod on Sunday. Hashtag Erick's Tie Fund. Hashtag State of Being. Nebraska, go big red. Hey, there's a quick saying I want to get out there really fast for you. The reason why the wind blows in Wyoming is because Nebraska sucks. But still, no, it's but yeah.
So I got to get this out there. Hey, Nebraska's still better than Iowa.
Yes, get the shot at Nick while you can. All right, now, guys, a couple quick matters of business before we get going here. You guys follow us on Twitter at Sanderson MHH, and for Erick at Erick Trickel. You guys can follow the show at DVDD_pod. Make sure you guys are also following at Mile High Huddle so you get instant updates and breaking news analysis. The article that Nick Kendall just put up earlier, what was he, today or yesterday, about the Broncos potentially trading up to number 10 overall with the Cleveland Browns to go and target a wide receiver per Michael Lombardi. Let's see here. What else is there? Also, guys, this is something that we haven't really kind of discussed much on the Dove Valley Deep Divers podcast. I'm not going to actually grab the card here, but if you guys like this video, like the content that we're putting out there, smash that like button, share it out to everybody. So it's just a great way for you guys to help the show out. Now,
real quick.
Go ahead.
So just talking about Steve's super chat, the round table, just throwing this quick out there on Sunday,
yes.
Sunday, the 19th, so this upcoming Sunday, 2 days from now, is not sure. Sorry, I just saw Robert's message in the thing, and I can agree. Nick Kendall lives there, so I definitely can agree. But anyways, on Sunday is our annual Mile High Huddle Roundtable mock draft. It's going to be having all of us on here. I'm pretty sure it's going to be all three groups of us. I mean, so Nick, Carl, Chad, Zach, and us two for some reason. I don't know why Lance is joining us. But,
I mean, hey, that's not very nice.
But it's going to be all of us, and you guys are going to sit here and listen to Nick and I argue back and forth about who we like and don't like, because this year especially, there seems to be a huge difference between him and I. I mean, he's definitely leaning towards those more athletically raw players, and that's just not a thing I go for that much. So it's definitely going to be interesting. Make sure you guys are tuning in for that. It's going to be a blast. And as well as we're still hammering out details, but we do have plans for the NFL draft all 3 days. So make sure you guys stay tuned and keep an ear out for all that stuff so you guys can make sure you are joining for that.
Yes, absolutely. Now we got another super chat coming in here. Bronx legend, super huge fan, super chat superstar coming in. And he says with a $5 donation, thank you, Bronx. We appreciate you, dude. Shout out to MHH. You guys are dope. Keep on rocking. Hey, man, thank you. We appreciate that. You guys are dope too. It's a big reason why I like to do these is to come in and be able to talk with everybody, talk with Erick, and have some fun and crack jokes with everybody. Nick's number one stan coming in. No Nick Kendall slander, he says. All right, now, guys, let's get to the topic at hand today. The Draft Network's mock machine. Excuse me for stumbling over my words there for a minute. Erick, we had talked last week. Well, we did our last, our mock draft with all the fans and everything like that. And there was a lot of noise in the comment section about us doing one. Well, specifically you doing one yourself. And I chose to just, maybe I might want to join in this conversation as well. But using the rumor that the Broncos are potentially looking to trade up into the top 10, specifically with the Cleveland Browns to get number 10 overall, is that the direction that you went in your mock draft? Because, spoiler alert, I did.
So, real quick, I'm actually – I don't want to sit here and, say something bad about Chad or anything. He's super busy and everything. But originally, the whole plan was that I did a mock draft that's going to be published into an article. It's my final one, my final 7 round that is going to be published, and we're going to be talking about that tonight. That was originally the plan. Unfortunately, with time stuff, it wasn't able to be published. And one reason why I wanted to talk about that is because what I did was there's 4 main mock simulators. There's the Draft Network one, there's the Pro Football Network, there's Pro Football Focus, and there's with the FanSpeak one. Those are the 4 main ones. And what I did was I ran each of those sims fully automated 10 times. And then what I did from there was with each pick, how many times was each player selected and everything like that. So 40 total picks, just counting it down and making the draft from that, trying to go with who was picked the most. But obviously there were some changes that I had to make because at one point there would have been like 5 receivers taken if I didn't make some changes. So I made changes for stuff like that. So definitely it's an interesting new way that I found that I enjoyed to like making mock drafts that you guys can check out. I believe that is planning up on going up on Monday, I think is what it is. So make sure you guys are going out or checking out, keep an eye out for that as well. But as for this is yes, for tonight be doing this, I did make the trade up with the going off of the rumor about the Browns. I went off of with some of the stuff that I've been hearing about what it could potentially take for the Broncos. I mean, the Browns have made it no secret that they are looking to move down, that pick is for sale. So I don't think it's going to cost as much as a lot of other people are saying. I don't think it's going to cost 2/3. I don't think we're going to have to throw in a future second or a future first. I don't think we're going to have to throw in picks like that. I don't think we'll even have to throw in 46. Now, I do think that we might have to throw in like 77 or 83 compared to what I have it with. But the trade that I sent that ended up being accepted, which of course is through the Draft Network's simulation, that's what was accepted by the computer, was 15 overall, 95 overall, and 178 overall to go up from 15 to 10. And that kind of actually makes a little bit of sense with the Browns sitting there making it very clear that they want to get out of that pick. And with that, I ended up selecting Henry Ruggs.
Well, I did kind of the same exact thing, and I've been pretty vocal myself. As soon as that rumor came out from Michael Lombardi, the Broncos were interested in trading up to number 10, I saw a lot of just absolutely wild trade scenarios. I mean, I saw a first, a second, a third, and a fourth this year to get up there to go get a wide receiver. I saw somebody mention trade Von Miller to do that. Like, why would you trade Von Miller to get number 10 overall? Like, I don't understand that. And going back to just a couple of years ago, this is the one that I had pounded on my Twitter account earlier today, was the go back to 2018 NFL draft really quick and look at what the Arizona Cardinals did trading up to number 10 overall. They were at number 15. They gave up number 15. I believe it was 59 and 172. So a first, a third, and a fifth to move into the number 10 spot to select Josh Rosen. So I went kind of with that baseline just a little bit, and I ended up trading up to number 10 using 15, number 83, and 118 to kind of sweeten the pot just a little bit because our 15, 83, and 118 to sweeten the pot because we were down from 79 just a little bit. Not a huge drop off, but I think that would definitely get it done, especially in this situation. And I as well went with Henry Ruggs, wide receiver out of Alabama. Also, I had the entire pick of the litter at wide receiver there. So that is the run that we were kind of looking for. A couple super chats coming in here before we get going again. Terry Randall coming in off of Mount Rushmore, coming with a $5 donation up there in Canada. Do you guys think we should try and get the maximum number of picks we can in the top? Hashtag spaded being hashtag happy hour Friday. Hey, I like that. You stay safe as well, Terry. We appreciate you, man. We appreciate you, big dog. We see you as much. I'm going to grab this other one here before it runs away as well. King Hicks coming in with a $5 donation. We should get a top-tier wide receiver with the first pick and then either a trade back in the end of the first or early second and take a center. Thoughts? Hashtag MHH rocks. Not King Hicks. You rock, dude. We appreciate you. Now, there was another one, too. Hold on just a second.
So let's go ahead and answer this question first before we grab the next one.
Yeah,
so as for trading up for a center, I'd be totally fine with that if it's for Cesar Ruiz. If it's for somebody like Lloyd Cushenberry, no thanks. Matt Hennessy, no thanks. I'll rather sit at 46, see if one of them fall there. But yeah, Cesar Ruiz, I think, is worth trading up for. I think he's actually worth the first round pick. But my thing is that I just don't think that Denver's going to be looking for a center. With all things that is coming out of there, it seems like their first 3 picks are really going to be falling along the lines of wide receiver, cornerback, and offensive tackle. From there, they might pick up a center later to come in and compete with Patrick Morris, whom has a big fan in Mike Munchak, so that's something to keep an eye on there as well when it comes to potentially trading up for a center. So I don't think that they end up trading up for a center, but I would be totally fine with it if it's for Ruiz personally.
I'd be okay with Ruiz as well. I'd rather sit and try to get Matt Hennessy instead of because I don't think Cushenberry is going to be there. I think Hennessy would be there at 46, so I think that would be a good trade or a good way for the Broncos to get their starting center. Going to Terry's question, do you think we should try and get the maximum number of picks we can in the top? Well, it really just kind of depends, and we use this a lot. It really kind of depends on the cost. What are you willing to trade to move up that far? Now, if you're talking about moving into the back end of the first round, then I could possibly see that. And it's really kind of a tricky. What do you want to do? Are you wanting to move 46 and 77, 83? I mean, if you're doing a 2 and a 4 to get into the tail end of the first round, depends on also who you're targeting at that particular point. Did you get Ruggs and has like say like a Josh Jones, or maybe you think Jeff Gladney or something like that? Who are you targeting, and what is the cost going to be? And I think that's kind of the best answer to that question. But I mean, depending on who's there, absolutely. And if the Broncos do manage to sit at 15 and get somebody like say, Tristan Wirfs falls or whatever, something like that. They can get Tristan Wirfs at 15 and they want to target Denzel Mims in the later half of the first round to go up and go get him. I would definitely be on board with that, but it just really kind of depends on the scenario.
So I definitely, obviously I agree. And there's another question from David Cromwell that I really wanted to get to because there's a conversation going on in the chat that I wanted to talk about too. And this kind of plays into it. Do you think Philadelphia is a threat to jump Denver for a wide receiver? Well, first of all, David, thank you for the donation. We appreciate you, man. You're pretty consistent with coming in and throwing in your donations to get your questions asked and answered. So thank you for joining us as always. But I do think that obviously Philadelphia is a threat to jump Denver. I think the receiver that they want is CeeDee Lamb. And there's been a lot of speculation and rumors and just insider leaked info that's coming out that Howie Roseman absolutely loves CeeDee Lamb. And it's easy to see why. They need that wide receiver that can really fit with them. Now, there's another conversation that is going on about this. That is, let me see if I can't find it, is Cody Damron asks, I bet Raiders get Lamb, 49ers get Ruggs, Broncos get Judy. Thoughts? If it falls that way, I would actually be very shocked for multiple reasons. The sense I get from multiple conversations is I don't think that the Raiders would go Lamb. I don't think they're going wide receiver there, actually. I think that they're going to be looking at going quarterback. There's a lot of speculation, a lot of talk, a lot of chatter coming out that they really want Love. And if Tua starts to fall, that they can move up looking for him. There's even chatter going up that they're trying to get into the top 5 in front of Miami to try and get Tua. So that is something that's definitely to keep an eye on there. With the 49ers, I think that they're looking more at defensive line or a cornerback as well than wide receiver. I mean, I know that their receiver core isn't great, but there's a lot of talk coming out that they like Denzel Mims. So maybe if they go wide receiver there, maybe it's Mims. There's a lot of speculation and a lot of chatter going out there that Denzel Mims will be the second or third wide receiver taken. So I don't think that things will fall exactly like that. I don't think that the Raiders end up taking Lamb if he's there. If they do go receiver, I think that they would be going Judy. I mean, chatter for a long time has been that that both Mayock and Gruden absolutely love Jerry Judy. And I don't think that the 49ers end up going wide receiver. And that's something that I've been saying for a while. And recent chatter points to that as well. There's a big belief coming out of Dove Valley that both Lamb and Ruggs will be available for the Broncos at 15. They think that with 4 offensive tackles, 4 quarterbacks, 2 cornerbacks, an edge rusher, and a linebacker safety hybrid, that pretty much that those 3 receivers are going to be available for them. Obviously, there's some things that can change with that, but that's something to keep an eye on as well. They believe that they'll be there. And if those 2 aren't there, I think the Broncos are trading down.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And now I'm actually working on a pretty significant project. First things first, I'm going to grab this. Terry Randall coming in with another $2 donation, top 100. So that must be the clarification. Yeah, Terry just didn't want to leave you out there in the cold, man. Thank you for another $2. We appreciate that. I agree with that, Eric, as far as what the 49ers are going to do. And a lot of this, and it's not necessarily of anything that I've heard. Obviously, you're the insider, not me. But just from what I've been reading around the internet right now, I'm working on a very specific mock draft where it's really fan-driven based and reading a bunch of comments and everything like that. And a lot of 49ers fans, and maybe this doesn't have any credence or anything like that, but they think that they're going to really kind of sit and wait and let the draft come to them. There's a lot of speculation about the 49ers moving up as well. But I think that what's going to happen there is they're going to sit there, they're going to wait for either an offensive tackle, They're going to wait for a cornerback to fall to him. Potentially CJ Henderson is a name that everyone's talking about as well. And then either Javon Kinlaw or Derek Brown potentially at 13. So, and then wait on that Denzel Mims pick at 31. So, I mean, I don't necessarily think that the 49ers are a huge threat to take a wide receiver, but if the guy that they love is absolutely there, CeeDee Lamb would be the guy that I would kind of point in that direction. But at the same time, if Lamb is there, sure, I could see it, but I don't know. I mean, I could see CeeDee Lamb going 12 and pushing down Derek Brown to the 49ers at 13. So, Eric, we got to get back going to our conversation here. Now, in the second round, you chose to trade back. I chose to stay put at 46. And for me, the way that the draft kind of fell, I had a few very interesting options. I had Austin Jackson, AJ Terrell was still on the board. Trevon Diggs, Matt Hennessy was there. But I just thought, the tail end of the first round, the Broncos needed to develop a developmental offensive tackle, and Ezra Cleveland was already gone. I chose Austin Jackson, the offensive tackle out of USC. I think it's a pretty good fit. I think that as a potential developmental tackle moving on from Garrett Bowles after this year it's a good fit for the Broncos to do that. It's just my personal opinion there. After going back and reading the picks that fell after taking Austin Jackson, I think that probably taking Matt Hennessy might have been a better idea as far as getting that starting center for the Broncos in the long term. But Austin Jackson was just too good for me to pass up at 46.
Yeah, and as you said, I ended up trading down here. Before I get to that, EA Shalom asks, if that's the case, why did you trade up in your mock? The reason for that is if there's a guy that you really identify that you want, you go up and get him. I think that in this case, Henry Ruggs is a guy that I think the Broncos really want. I think they'll end up moving up and getting him just to secure him, because even though they believe that they could fall, there's so many variables in play. Who knows? Philadelphia might be trying to move up. Miami might be trying to move up. There are plenty of other teams behind them that could be trying to move up and get in front of Denver to try and secure him. I went up. I got to 10. I made sure I got him. Instead of having that, of course, in the Draft Network mock, you don't have to worry about other teams actually doing that through the sim, but it's something that I wanted to do just to try to make it a little bit more realistic. But in this case, at 46, I did decide to trade down. I moved down. Basically, what it came down to was there were 9 players at this spot that I was really targeting for it. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to use this. There's 9 players. I'm not all so closely graded. I'm not going to sit here and just find one of them and without potentially getting up a little bit more value. So I decided to move back. I moved down what ended up being 12 spots, picked up 58 overall and 105 overall, with sending 46 and 181 overall. And after moving back, I picked up a versatile safety, small school guy, Lenoir Ryan, and Kyle Duggar. He's a guy that I think that can do a lot for this. He can drop down, play the nickel. He can play deep. And I think there is enough skill to handle the box a little bit. But I just love that what he can do for the whole defense. And in my opinion, I think that the Broncos defense should definitely move away from their standard 3-3 or their standard 3-4 front and start going to more of a 4-1-6, start using a lot more defensive backs. And I think with Kyle Duggar that he gives them a versatile defensive back to go do that. I mean, you have issues with coverage from your linebackers, go more defensive backs. That's going to help handle that. And if they're good enough against the run, like Kareem Jackson and Justin Simmons are, you're not as worried about the run. So that is one reason why I made that pick.
I love Kyle Duggar in the running game. I think he comes up so aggressively, very good tackler. It's a great fit there. So, all right, before we go to round 3, Stu McPeak. Stu, we love you, man. You're so consistent with everything you're doing. Stu, we appreciate you, man. $25 donation. Any bombshells coming to Denver for the draft? Well, if you listen to the beginning of this podcast, there's your bombshell, dude. The Broncos trading up to number 10 to go get Henry Ruggs. And Eric and I agreed on that. We both pulled the exact same move. Well, I gave up probably a little bit higher capital than Eric did just to make sure I got the move done. Not thinking that 93 and 178, is that what you gave up? I believe is what you said. To get up to number 10 was enough. I figured that giving up the pick in the 80s and then 118, so a third and a fourth, based on what we saw with the Arizona Cardinals moving up with the Oakland Raiders a couple of years ago to get Josh Rosen. So that was kind of my thinking behind that. Now, go ahead.
So if you want bombshells for the draft next Thursday, listen in. This is just obviously just the latest chatter that I've been hearing. You guys can take it with as much skepticism as you want, whatever. But basically, is Denver's looking at trading up. That's been something that's been going around for a while. They're looking at targeting Henry Ruggs or CeeDee Lamb. And if they aren't able to move up and both of them are gone at 15, look for them to move down. They could potentially be targeting Denzel Mims, Justin Jefferson, or a cornerback like Christian Fulton, Jeff Gladney, or AJ Terrell after a trade back. So those are all things to keep an eye on, and I would not be shocked if Denver landed at least one of those 5 in the first round, either at 15 or moving earlier or moving back, whenever they end up picking.
No, that's great information, man. All right, now going back to our draft here with my first third round pick, number 77 overall. This is a guy that I kind of have you and I kind of had a little bit of a disagreement here on our group chat the other night about him. I went with Bryce Hall, cornerback out of Virginia, and now in the same kind of mold as you with Kyle Duggar. I think that's that kind of role that Bryce Hall can play for the Broncos. Not necessarily playing I like him on the outside, but I think that if you slide him inside, get him a little bit further off the ball and let him come vertically up the field. He's a little sloppy in his hips, doesn't have good change of direction speed in the back end, and he does get beat deep a lot. So if you get him off the ball just a little bit and you get him coming forward as a tackler, I think that's a pretty good fit for the Broncos.
I like Hall. I like him as a boundary corner. I think that's where you want to leave him. My concerns with his fluidity, with his movements, and his ability to flip and turn his hips is the reason why I don't want him at safety.
Okay.
That's actually something that's kind of important for the safety position. You got to be able to flip and turn and change direction very well, which he isn't able to have. But I do think that his tackling issues are something that are fixable. It seems to be, when watching him tackle, is that you can see him make a beautiful tackle, perfect technique, and then the next time he's going to make a tackle, he just eases up a little bit.
Yeah.
And the technique just kind of lapses. Those are things that are fixable with his technique. I really like Bryce Hall. I was actually targeting him in my own. He was one of the guys that was left at 77. I was hoping to get him at 83. He ended up being taken at 82. So whoever picked at 82, I can't think of who it was off the top of my head, then they can just go away. I don't like them anymore. But he's the guy who I was looking at. And at 77, I ended up taking Davon Hamilton. He's a guy that I actually absolutely love. I think if he was a lot more consistent in college, he'd be talked about as a day one defensive lineman. I mean, he can be so disruptive, but he just lacks any kind of consistency to his game. I think that if any defensive line is going to be getting the most out of him, I think that it's going to be Bill Kohler and Vic Fangio in this defense. And there is one thing that I want to take it as a super chat. Brian Greenfield, I'll be pissed if they trade up top 10 for a number 2 wide receiver. Here's the thing. Analytics, basically, I mean, yes, he was still their number 2 receiver but number 2 receiver is an elite position that could use somebody elite, and Henry Ruggs can be an elite number 2 wide receiver in the NFL. And what he does, even at Alabama, what he did for that offense didn't always show up on the stat sheet because, for him anyways, because he opened up everybody else. He forced defenses to double him almost every single play because of the speed he has. They would line him up with the corner and they'd keep a safety deep because they had to worry about his speed. Just labeling him as a number 2 receiver at Alabama, I think is very, and I'm not trying to be rude here or anything like this. I think it's just a very short-sighted look into that Alabama offense and how complex it could be, and just how they used all those receivers in different ways. And then when you look at things too, is that with Jerry Jeudy was a number 2 receiver too. He wasn't their true number 1. Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith, they were up there as well for them. So you don't come across receiver groups as talented as Alabama's was.
And I've been pounding that drum for weeks now. This whole thought of Henry Ruggs, a number 2 guy, who cares? The impact that he has with just the speed, dictating coverages and opening up everything with the threat of him to take the football to the house. What is 24.8% of the time he touched the football, he put it in the end zone at an average clip of like 28.9 yards per touchdown. Like, this is an elite threat with the ball in his hands. He is definitely, and I hear this with Zach and Chad when they talk. He's definitely a lot more Tyreek Hill than he is John Ross, and that's the absolute truth. So
yeah, the John Ross comparison with Henry Ruggs is just a lazy comparison.
Yeah.
It's just people who haven't actually dug into it, and I mean, people can be mad that I said that, but it's true. I mean, with John Ross, is he ran one route. Like, it was like 95% of his routes in college was the go route. That is all he ran. Henry Ruggs has a lot more versatility. He ran those deep corners. He ran those deep posts. He ran the slant. I think the slant was actually one of his most ran routes in college. He wasn't just a 9-route guy. He had a good, actually solid route tree where he ran everything a decent amount. Then you also, with John Ross, is he had a major medical concerns. Henry Ruggs doesn't. John Ross dropped about one ball every 3 times he was targeted or something like that. Some ridiculous rate in college.
Like a 16% drop rate or something like that.
I think it was higher. I think it was higher than that.
I
I thought it was like 28, 29, almost 30 is what I thought it was. Like, but yeah, it was a ridiculous one. And Henry Ruggs dropped one pass last year. He's dropped what? I think 3 or 4 total in his career. Like, he just doesn't drop balls. He has great hands too. So just the John Ross comparison is a very lazy one. I think that he is more Tyreek Hill. I don't like the Tyreek Hill comparison for him either, but I think he is closer to Tyreek Hill than he is John Ross.
Yeah. All right, we got to get this conversation moving, guys. We're running about 30 minutes. We got maybe another 15 minutes at that tops, and we still got to get through the rest of this mock draft. Instead of go routes, Ross now runs IR routes. Absolutely. That's the truth. All right. TG coming in with a $20 donation on Super Chat. TG, hey, man, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for that. Thanks for joining us tonight. If we got Lamb, Gladney, and Hennessy, that would be a heck of a draft. Yeah, absolutely. It would be a heck of a draft. I like CeeDee Lamb. I know, Eric, you have him as your number 1 wide receiver in the class. We both are very high on Jeff Gladney as well. I know you really like Matt Hennessy. I think that's a really good fit as well. So, yeah, that would be a hell of a draft right there. Another super chat coming in here.
Real quick.
Sorry, Eric. My bad.
Real quick, I just wanted to cover this. What's new? I've never seen a single draft analyst accurately mock guess the first 5 picks. To assume we know what the Broncos will do with pick 15 is crazy to me. I'm not trying to assume that I know what the Broncos are going to do. I'm just using every piece of information that I get to make as educated guesses as I possibly can. That's all we can. That's all we can do. Unless you are inside the building, you don't know for sure. Yeah, and I've made no bones about it. I don't know what the Broncos are going to do. I just can make as educated guesses as I possibly can with what information I have available.
Yep. All right. Let's see here. I'm going to grab this super chat really quick. We got another one from Brian as well. TG with another $5. Hey, TG, we thank you, man. Appreciate that. When I watched the tape on Ruggs, all they had to do is press him and took him out of the game. Now, that is a very valid concern, and I understand that. He's not the best getting off of press coverage. He's going to have to work with that, but that's a coachable issue. That's a very coachable issue. The things that you can't coach, the speed, the hands, athleticism, everything like that he has, just the ability to go up, catch the ball, take the top off the defense naturally. He is a natural, smooth, track speed athlete. That is the things. I mean, you can teach him how to run better routes. You can teach him how to work better getting off the line of scrimmage and everything like that. So there's the tools, and the only really question you have there is how does he learn? Is he good in the classroom? Is he good taking on to coaching and everything like that? You only find that out by getting him in the building and working with him, and with everything that's going on in the world right now, there's no way of really knowing that. So you're going to have to kind of take some chances. And this whole draft process is going to be a completely different animal this year. Like it's insane. Now, Brian Greenfield coming back in with another $5. He says, if we're to trade to 10, I can see Ruggs over Lamb or Judy. I can't see us taking Ruggs over Lamb or Judy. I mean, Eric, go ahead and respond to the first part of that, and we'll just kind of.
So when it comes to getting off of press, Henry Ruggs actually improved as the season went on. There's definitely still some work there. He's definitely showing the hand technique to get off of press. He's just got to get that right stutter step down to get off of it. Definitely showed improvement. But here's the thing, though, that defenses can't sit there and just press him all game long, because once he learns how to get off that press, he's gone. He has the speed to make up for whatever lost time for the few seconds, or not even few seconds, the split seconds that he loses trying to get off the press. He can make up easily. I mean, his 4.27 speed will help him do that. So I think that the press, yes, it is a concern that he does struggle to get off of press. You're going to be lining up in the slot a lot more often where you don't see players press as much. So I think that there's definitely ways to get around doing that. And getting off of press is something that's very easily teachable. A lot of NFL receivers can learn how to get off of that. And as for not taking can't see taking Ruggs over Judy or Lamb. I think that when it comes down to it, basically the simple fact is, as an educated guess, which is all that I can make, is that I would say that the Broncos draft board at receiver is Henry Ruggs, CeeDee Lamb, and I don't think Jerry Jeudy. I don't want to say he's off of it, but I don't think he's as high on there as the media is. I've spoken to a lot of people in the NFL that have talked about how Jerry Jeudy is being hyped up more by media and fans than he actually is in NFL circles. And if you look at other receivers of his traits coming out of college, with the great route runners, that the hands can be kind of concerning at times, that they just win with their routes. If you go and you watch them in the NFL, they don't win that way. They can't win that way. And then you sit there and you have to look at this and look at where they start going. Calvin Ridley, he went late first. I mean, this is a tough receiver class. I can see Jerry Jeudy falling because of the type of receivers that have entered the NFL before that are similar to him, that have just sit there and taken a tumble. Now, quickly, before we get to the super patch, we did have quite a few of them come in. I just really quickly want to get through the last few picks of this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to sit here. I'm just going to rattle off, give my quick thoughts on this. I didn't make any other trades. So Davon Hamilton, big nose tackle. He was my pick at 77. Mike Purcell's on a 1-year deal. I think that you can easily upgrade over him. And I think that Davon Hamilton with his pass rushing ability and potential is something that you can sit there and do that with. Matthew Pert as an offensive tackle at 83. He's a guy who can come in and be a developmental prospect for Mike Munchak to work with, as well as providing enough of a technical base to come in and start right away this year if needed. Then at 105, Darnell Mooney, he's another speedster. I think that he is a lot closer to Tyreek Hill than Henry Ruggs is. This guy's just an explosive playmaker. Size and hands are a little bit concerning, but his hands can be coached up. It's just a matter of a little bit of focus concerns on shorter throws. He's just getting ready to make the bigger play instead of seeing the catch, and that's something that you can definitely coach out. Darrington Evans, running back at 118. I know I'm going to get absolutely shredded for this one, but here's my thing. I'm stacking speed on top of speed. If you want to compete with the Kansas City Chiefs, you've got to put points on the board. Henry Ruggs is going to sit there and open up a lot. Darnell Mooney is going to open up a lot, and then you can use Darrington Evans to sit there and just make all sorts of plays on it. And then you sit there and Parnell Motley at 252, a cornerback who actually played really well last year against some tough competition. He's definitely flying under the radar. I like him a lot. He's out of, I believe, Oklahoma or Oklahoma State. I'm pretty sure it's Oklahoma. And then finally, I go and get a center who can come in and compete with Patrick Morris and Austin Schlottman and Cole Cabral out of, I can't remember what school he went to. But yeah, he's definitely what I went. I think he can come in and be a day one starter with a little bit of development, and I think that it would be great for him to sit there and just be developed by Mike Munchak and Chris Cooper.
Yeah, there you go. I really love that Darrington Evans pick, and he was long gone. After giving up 118, he was definitely long gone for me, and it kind of sucks. I did go a running back in the 7th round, but just to rattle this off quickly, after Bryce Hall, cornerback from Virginia, I took Troy Dye, linebacker out of Oregon, with my boy Logan Wilson on the board, just because I think that Troy Dye is a little bit better of a player. I think he's better in coverage than Logan Wilson is. It's a better scheme fit as well. Then I traded 178 and 252. Up to 154 with the Miami Dolphins to do your same thing, stack speed on top of speed on top of speed. And I went with your boy, Devin Duvernay, the wide receiver out of Texas. I think that with Ruggs and Duvernay, they might be a little bit similar. Ruggs is obviously the superior player there. But again, with the drops, I mean, Henry Ruggs, 4 drops total in his career. Devin Duvernay, 1 total drop in his career at Texas. Very reliable hands, a lot of speed there, a lot of opening up the field for everybody with Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant as well. I kept 178. I can't remember exactly what pick it was. So I had 178. I took Antoine Brooks Jr., the safety from Maryland, just because that was probably the best value there. And then at 254, JaMychal Hasty, the running back out of Baylor. I think that we talked about him with Luke earlier this week. I like the pass protection. I like the ability that he has with his hands coming out of the backfield. Very tough physical runner in between the tackles. Does a good job there. Now, that'll wrap it up. Go ahead, Eric.
So, some quick rapid fires of questions. Sorry, Lance. There's actually quite a few of them here that I want to address.
I know.
What's new? I get that the frustration comes from the praise of speed. I don't fully agree with. Would love to hear someone say something other than Ruggs. I understand that, but here's the thing: is that in the NFL, speed kills. I mean, that's how it is. I mean, there's not many corners that can hang with Henry Ruggs. That's going to be the main trait that he has. That's not all he brings to the table, though. I mean, he brings straight hands. His route running definitely improved as the year went on. His play off of press improved as the year went on. And he's not just a go route runner. He's a guy who's going to open up so much for the other offense because of the threat of his speed. He's going to force defenses to play off of him a little bit because of that, which is going to open up him underneath. And then he can just outrun everyone on defense. Yep. So speed is a big thing that just helps you win in the NFL. Paul 826 comes in with a $10 donation. I want to say thank you, Paul. We appreciate you.
Paul. We appreciate you.
We were pumping up fat last year. No, it was Bush, like Ruggs. I assume nothing come draft. Here's the thing: is that was that a lot of people were pumping up Drew Lock, and then a lot of people were pumping up Devin Bush, and then a lot of people were sitting there saying, no, it's going to be a tight end. Well, here's the thing: is that the Broncos were looking at quarterback. It was looking at being Drew Lock. They just kind of came to the conclusion that, hey, we have Joe Flacco. We believe in him. We're going to go get somewhere else. Then they traded down at 20 with a trade for a deal that they just felt they couldn't pass up on. And then at 20, they're looking at a different way other than Noah Fant. And then it came to the conclusion that, hey, we don't really have an athletic tight end that can go and stretch the field and be this receiving threat. So Denver decided to go with Noah Fant. Now, there are a lot of variables in play with this, but basically the same guy who told me a couple years ago that Denver was taking Garrett Bowles and he told me this way back in February that year, is the same guy who's telling me that it's going to be that Denver wants Henry Ruggs. Whether they take him or not, there's obviously other variables in play. But the same guy, very reliable source of mine, is sitting there saying it's Henry Ruggs that they want. I know there's another comment here that's saying that Henry Ruggs is a smokescreen. I don't think it is. Let's see here. Nate Ludlow comes in. If we take a wide receiver round 1, do you guys think we will take another one later on? I definitely do.
Yes.
I think Denver wants to double up on wide receiver.
Yeah, I was actually gonna grab that. I think with the depth of this class, not only at the wide receiver position but at the cornerback position, there's a possibility the Broncos can go and get another one in the later rounds as well. I think they're probably going to go and get one in probably the first 2. Well, let's see, probably round 2 or 3 early on day 2. I could see him going and targeting a cornerback and then getting a guy Essang Bassi, the cornerback out of Wake Forest, in rounds 5, 6, 7, something like that. I could see Lamar Jackson from Nebraska as well coming in and competing for the Broncos at cornerback position, especially if they don't have any plans to go in out and getting Prince Amukamara or something like that in free agency. And that ship has seemingly sailed. I'm not sure exactly what has happened with that. And I think a lot of it is just that Prince Amukamara overvalued himself, and the Broncos are not willing to pay what he wants. They're trying to go, not necessarily bargain, because they did go out and get AJ Bouye, but they are playing it with very close to the vest, and they're not willing to spend a whole lot of money on the secondary right now, especially with Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson, because Justin Simmons is on that franchise tag. They probably want to get a long-term deal done to fortify him for the long-term future and draft a replacement at that outside cornerback, and hopefully Bryce Callahan coming off of that really weird foot injury with the screw in his foot breaking and everything like that. I think that with all of that coming back, I don't see the Broncos going after Amukamara. They're probably going to draft a replacement. Eric, go ahead. Have you heard anything on that, by the way?
So I think actually what it comes down to is what happens in the draft with cornerback. Do the Broncos get one with one of the top 3 picks like they?
And that's a good point.
Like word is talking that they're hoping about. There are still a lot of talented corners left on the free agent market. I mean, Prince Amukamara, he's definitely a veteran guy, so he could be one that's kind of waiting. And then who knows what the situation that's going on around the NFL. We don't know how much that has impacted things as well.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they're looking at a guy who has a little bit of a medical history that they just want to bring in. Who knows? There's a lot of variables in play, but I definitely think that depending on what happens in the draft, I could see definitely them going up and picking up a corner sometime in May. Just a guy to go and bring in and compete potentially for a depth spot. Terry Randall comes in with another $2 donation. Thank you, Terry. Smash that like Broncos country. Yes, definitely. Smash that like button, you guys.
Yes, it doesn't matter what platform you guys are on. If you're on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Periscope, Facebook, anything, smash that like button. Get our content out for everybody to see. Like it, share it, do whatever you got to do. It's a really easy way to help us grow. I mean, we're the newest of the Huddle Up podcast. Well, the Huddle Up podcast network shows, I should say. We've only been doing this since about the beginning of training camp. So you guys getting us out there and liking it, you guys really don't understand how much we appreciate you showing up tonight and every night and coming in and supporting your boys. So I do appreciate that a lot.
And then there's a couple more things on here.
Go ahead, Eric.
We had a couple ones about you still need skill at wide receiver. You definitely do. And Henry Ruggs definitely has the skill. You get caught up when we say that he can use his speed to open up so much. Like we're saying that he's just a speed receiver. He's not. He has a lot of skill to go with. I mean, there are still some areas that need to be developed. But when you look at guys who are just skill and don't have the athletic stuff to it, they don't last in the NFL. Speed will help you last. I mean, look at John Ross and all the injuries he's had and how little impact he has. He still has a place in the NFL. Look at Ted Ginn Jr. He had a lot of speed in the NFL and terrible, terrible hands, and he still lasted in the NFL for a while. Mike Wallace lasted in the NFL for a long time. And I think I like Mike Wallace as a comparison for Henry Ruggs more than John Ross, more than Tyreek Hill. I think he's closer to Mike Wallace because Mike Wallace, one of the things that he did really well was catching those slants and just making a big play happen afterwards because he can just turn on the burners. You still have some skill there with Henry Ruggs. It's not just speed. And speed can be a cure-all for an offense, especially when you have a quarterback who has an arm like Drew Lock that you can challenge defenses deep. And you force them, if you want to run the ball, that they can't play close to the line of scrimmage because they have to worry about that arm. And now Denver, if they get Ruggs, would have that speed receiver to take the top off of defense. Speed is, in the way the NFL has changed and gone, and the modern game, speed is a cure-all for an offense. I mean, look at the Texans. Their offense was so much better when Will Fuller was on the field. Even if he wasn't producing, he just opened up so much. Look at the Bengals offense when John Ross was on the field. they were so much better because of everything his speed opened up. As soon as he got hurt, that offense, I mean, it wasn't a great offense, don't get me wrong, but that offense got even worse. Speed can be a cure-all because of what all it does, and especially in Pat Shurmur's defense or Pat Shurmur's offense that focuses on spacing. The spacing that you get with Henry Ruggs and his deep ball ability and his speed is tremendous. I will sit here and I will go off about this until I am red in the face.
And you're getting really close there too.
I'm also really hot, man. My office is freezing, absolutely burning. But anyways, just the last point I'm going to make is that, especially with Denver's offense, is speed can do a lot. I mean, they still need skill. They still need a guy who can go and get open underneath and still make big plays. That's why I like a guy like Darnell Mooney, who I have in my mock draft that we did before this, or a guy like Devin Duvernay, who Lance had in his. That's why I like comparing them with Henry Ruggs. Those are guys who can work underneath. Where then you have Cortland Sutton working the intermediate routes. But you have the versatility with those guys to do multiple things than just that.
And also, you gotta realize here, we're running a lot of 11 personnel, so you're going to have Noah Fant on the field a lot of 3 wide receiver sets, a tight end, and a running back. And then you have Philip Lindsay, who's no slouch. What did he run, a 4.39 or something like that at the Colorado Pro Day a couple years ago? We already know that he's plenty fast enough. Noah Fant, 4.51 as a tight end. Are you kidding me? There's plenty of athleticism to go around, stacking speed on top of speed on top of speed. Now, TG coming in with another $5 donation. We're going to have to kind of wrap this up here soon. Okay, then tell me what rideout runs a 4.3 that is in the Hall of Fame. I'm not sure exactly what he ran, but that Randy Moss guy seems to be really, really good. I mean, he might not have been low 4.3s, but he was definitely there. And as a deep threat that ran faster than everybody on the field, I mean, hand up, there it is. Tom Brady hit him for a lot of touchdowns doing that. So, yes, I understand your argument. The big super elite speed guys like the John Ross, like the Mike Wallace's, like the Ted Ginn Jr., all that. Yeah, those guys bust out. Stop it. Just stop it. The speed, and just the impact of their speed on the offense itself is enough to make the pick worth it, because it's going to open up so much for everybody. Everybody. It doesn't matter who it is.
And here's to that point is just because I can't think of what Randy Moss ran, just because there may not be a guy who ran sub 4.3 in the Hall of Fame doesn't mean there ever can't be. I work security for a job, and so far I haven't gotten shot at my job, but one day it might happen. You can't, I mean, there's always the possibility of that happening. I mean, Henry Ruggs, maybe there's not a guy there, but he may be the guy. And the other thing with this is with how people use speed in the NFL nowadays is they're not always the ones getting to production, and championships tend to be a big requisite for getting into the Hall of Fame. So that's something to factor in there as well. Using the Hall of Fame as a thing to try and make a point is just kind of, I think, a little, I don't want to say, it's a little bit redundant. It's like using Pro Bowls. Pro Bowls fans vote. It's just a popularity contest. It doesn't actually judge a player's talent or skill.
Well, and if you want to talk about just the Hall of Fame for a minute, you're talking about the Denver Broncos, who have been to 8 Super Bowls. They have 3 Super Bowl championships. They have less than that in the Hall of Fame. They have 6 players now with Atwater? And then they have Pat Bowlen as well, Champ Bailey from last year. That's 6-7 guys in the Hall of Fame. They've been to more Super Bowls than they have Hall of Famers. Stop it, please. That's a dumb argument.
And then somebody mentioned Randy Moss and the routes he ran. When Randy Moss entered the NFL, his routes were actually
trash.
Were actually worse than what Henry Ruggs is bringing to it. Guess what? He developed them. He developed his routes, and he got better. And he became one of the best receivers that we ever see the game. Terrell Owens, he's another one. His routes developed in it. You can develop your routes. You can't get faster.
Yeah, that's true. That's very.
And
true.
then
all right, Paul. Paul. I was just gonna say. I saw. Stop clicking buttons. Paul 80026 with another $10 donation. Paul, you know what, dude? I really appreciate you. You've been a big supporter of the show ever since the very beginning of this, and you've been a big supporter on not only here but building the Broncos and the Huddle Up Pod. It's always great to see you, man. If we trade up for Ruggs and only have 1, 2, and 1/3, do you think LA would recoup picks by moving down from 46? So I'm guessing that's a first, a second, and 1/3. So you're saying, let's see,
he's He's saying that basically that the trade up for Ruggs will cost 15 and then 2/3
and 2/3. Yeah, I don't think that it's going to cost that. We kind of broke that down just a little bit. I think just look at the recent history a little bit and just the Josh Rosen trade. I've mentioned this a couple times, and I've hammered it down on my Twitter account over the last 24, 48 hours that it's not going to take 2 third-rounders to move up from 15 to 10. It took 2 rounders to move up from 20 to 10 last year, and that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers gave up to go get Devin Bush. The Broncos then took Noah Fant. So with the trade from 15 to 10, it was what number 15, 79, and 152, I believe is what it was that the Cardinals gave up to move up to number 10 overall. That's a first, a third, and a fifth, and the Broncos have that capital in. I mean, I would be perfectly okay with that. I don't necessarily like to trade up, and Eric, I'm on this board. I'm on the same wavelength as you as far as that goes. But trading up is not something I necessarily want to do. If they did that, if they made that trade, if they identified, okay, we're gonna go get Lamb, we're gonna get Ruggs, we're gonna get the guy that we identify as the best wide receiver in this class to open up the offense for Drew Lock and build this offense and get it going, I would be all for it. I wouldn't necessarily like it, but I would be for it. I would be okay with it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It all depends on the cost. I don't think it would cost 2/3 to move up for it. But if for some reason it did, I can see Denver trying to recoup those picks a little bit different way, potentially moving down from 46. And then Damian Clark Warren. I am not sold on the hype on Ruggs. Thank you for your donation, Damian. And that's fine. Like so here's the thing is I have no issues if people don't like Ruggs. I have issues with people making false claims and saying things that aren't true, and saying that Ruggs is just another John Ross just isn't a true claim. Saying he's just speed and nothing else is just a false claim. And then What's New came in and said false. Chris Carter taught Randy Moss, and he was good from day one. He'll learn to run routes later on, not Moss. That's not actually true. Randy Moss has spoken multiple times about how hard it was for him to learn the how to run routes for the NFL and everything. He was still able to have an impact right away just because of the athleticism and the speed he brought, but his routes were atrocious, and he's talked about that multiple times in multiple interviews.
Bowana Beast coming in and says, that'd be pretty sweet if that's true, Lance. It makes me feel a lot better. I'm not exactly sure what you're talking to there. Come back with that, Bowana. Good to see you, dude. Obviously, it's always good to see everybody here.
So Greco, I think Eric knows John Elway personally, and that's how he got Garrett Pole's deal, and that's how he knows it's Henry Ruggs. Come on, Eric, tell Broncos country the truth. Although you guys do great. I actually don't know that it's going to be Ruggs. That's just everything that I've heard is pointed that way. I don't know John Elway, and I'm not sure I'd want to. There's that whole thing about you don't want to meet your heroes. So I really don't want to meet you in person. I really don't want to meet John Elway. I don't want to be disappointed in him.
Yep. All right, guys, a couple more really quick before we got to get out of here. We're actually about 6 minutes over our target time for tonight, which is fine. It's been a very fun conversation. Oh, we got another super chat coming in here from TG diving back in really fast. Guys, you act like I hate Ruggs. I don't, but at 10, no. There is only one receiver at 10, and that's Lamb. But Ruggs, Lamb, and Higgins will most likely have the best career.
See, Lamb is my number one receiver. I would definitely take him at 10 in a heartbeat over Ruggs. I think what he can do for an offense is tremendous. But I think that the NFL and many other people realize that Henry Ruggs, what he can do for the offense, even without the ball in his hands, can be just as much, if not more. There was actually one NFL personnel person that I spoke to, and I think I mentioned this last week, that I was talking to him, and the question I asked was, of the top 3 receivers, who do you think that can have the highest impact right away? And his reason was Henry Ruggs, or his response was Henry Ruggs, and his reasoning was because of what he opens up for the offense just outside of not having the ball. With CeeDee Lamb, most of the time that he's going to make his impact, it's going to be with the ball in his hands. Jerry Jeudy, he's not going to make an impact without the ball in his hands. Henry Ruggs can, and the source that I talked to, he went on to clarify that he thinks that out of all of the players in the draft, that he thinks that Henry Ruggs will be, for his rookie year and beyond, will have probably I think he said like number 3rd highest impact for his team. I think he said behind Young and one of the quarterbacks. I can't remember which.
Wow.
It was a conversation like 2 weeks ago. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of praise and a lot of love for him.
Yeah. All right. Now, before we get out of here, I'm going to make this our last one, guys, unless we get another super chat coming in here. I've seen this question a handful of times, and I want to get to it just because he's been so persistent and so patient with us. EA Shalom coming in on YouTube, and he says, could Laurel Lurchison from North Carolina State or McTelvin Ajim from Arkansas be a good option at defensive tackle in the 5 or 6 rounds? Honestly, I love Laurel Murchison. I think the showing that he had at the Senior Bowl was one of the top performances. I mean, he was all over the place, winning inside, winning at the 5 tech, winning at the 3 tech. He played a little bit of nose as well. He had a very good one-on-one group. I can't remember who. I think it was Cushenberry that Laurel Murchison just absolutely buried in a one-on-one drill. It was amazing to watch. I love Laurel Murchison. I think that'd be a great pick for the Broncos. And I might even say that if the Broncos are feeling froggy and need to go get him in the 5th round, they could do that. But if they think that if they're not going to be able to, that's a long ways from pick 118 to what is it the Broncos have to 138. Okay,
78.
178. Yep. So from 118 to 178, if the Broncos absolutely fall in love with him, think that he could be a plug and play kind of a guy as a rotational interior pass rusher for this Broncos defense, I think at 118, you might not be thinking that's too rich. I mean, you never know. It's the NFL draft. Everything is kind of crazy during the NFL draft.
Ouch. I just stabbed myself with my pen. Anyway. Anyways, I absolutely love Laurel Murchison. I actually think that he's not the most athletic guy, but I think that he can be a tremendous defensive lineman depth deep piece because of how he wins in the NFL. He doesn't win with sheer athleticism. He wins with motor and technique, and that's how that translates easily to the NFL.
Yes.
Love him as a depth piece. I do wish he was a little bit longer, but if he was longer, he'd probably be talking about as a 3rd or 2nd round or 3rd round guy. I have him in my top 100. I absolutely love his play. I love what he can do. Man, I'm a huge fan of his. McTelvin Ajim, I'm not as high on, especially for a 3-4 front. I think that he's going to be more of just a pure 3 tech. So, I mean, he would work when Denver goes into their sub packages. But outside of that, I think that his impact is going to be a little bit minimal. And then Damian Clark-Warren comes in again with a $2 donation. I will not be sad if we get him Mims as a sleeper. I really like Denzel Mims as well. He's one of my favorite receivers actually in the draft. And with what he can do a lot to bring a lot to the offense as well. I think that I would not be shocked if he ends up being the 2nd or 3rd receiver actually drafted because of just there's a lot of love for him.
Oh, yes. And that was something that what was it, 3 or 4 weeks ago? I think it was that I think it was the episode with us that I said that just because of everything that we're hearing coming out of the combine, the way that Denzel Mims blew it up, the size, height, weight, athleticism, speed, everything that he's got going for him, the tape is there. And he's a great blocker, as Eric, you very well know. I think that just everything that he brings to the table, Eric's ruined fun. But anyways, everything that he brings to the table, and I slapped this table, and I'm going to continue on this one. I'm going to continue to say that this is going to shock everybody. Denzel Mims is going to be the 3rd wide receiver taken, and it's going to be Jerry Jeudy that falls. And I love Jerry Jeudy. I think Jerry Jeudy is the best wide receiver in this class. That's just my personal opinion on it. I love Jerry Jeudy, but the height, weight, speed, athleticism that you're going to get with Denzel Mims is going to have some team in the top 20 picks love him more. And it's going to be somebody like the San Francisco 49ers at 13 overall. If that's the guy that they want at the wide receiver position at 13, that's the guy they're going to go get. And I'm going to continue to slap that drum for the rest of this until we find out on Thursday.
So, Buona Beast, what's on the pipeline tomorrow, Lance and Eric? We are going to be breaking down Chad Reuter's mock draft, correct?
Was breaking down some mock drafts we've seen over the last couple of days. Now, quick, we got a super chat coming in from my buddy Justin, and I'm not actually going to say it, but thanks,
Go
man.
Faders. Go Faders.
Boo Raiders.
Keep choking in Las Vegas.
Absolutely. Justin, thanks for the $5 donation, man. We appreciate it. We really do. It's great that you're first off allowing me to use your house and use everything that use your internet and whatnot to do the show. But no, man, I can't say it. I can't say it. Not going to happen. All righty, guys. So for tomorrow, we're going to get out of here. We're going to wrap it up here. We're getting the Chad Reuter 7-round mock draft that we saw. So we'll break that down a little bit, talk a little bit more about everything that's going on. Got some more super chats coming in here, but we're also going to Eric, go ahead.
So Dylan blame Lance. It's his buddy that he's using his internet because Lance is can't get internet apparently for some reason. And blame Lance. It's all Lance's fault.
Don't blame me. Blame the situation that's going on in planet Earth right now, please, because our internet was ordered last week and it still has not shipped. So it's not my fault.
And then Girton 10 comes in. Tell me if you like the strategy. Trade back in the first for an additional second. Then trade up in the mid end of the second with 2 of your third round picks. It all depends on how it's going to be going with the board and everything like that. It's always hard to say. On paper, I don't mind it. Obviously, I'm not the biggest fan of the cost. But again, it just really depends on how the board falls.
All right. Well, yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Now, guys, we're going to have to get out of here for tonight. Again, tomorrow we'll be back on 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you guys have any more draft questions.
And you guys, just a reminder for this. You guys get to see us 3 days straight. We'll be on Sunday as well.
Yes, we will. So tomorrow night, we're going to break down Chad Reuter's seven-round NFL mock draft at NFL.com. So we're going to break that down, take a look around the internet as well if we can to find another couple of mock drafts to kind of break down for you guys. Make sure you have all of your NFL draft questions for the Broncos. Let's talk about something different. Maybe not about what the Broncos are going to do at 15. Let's see if we can't talk about some trade packages like Eric and I used today to get into like the mid-round and see if we can't do something like that, get a Devin Duvernay, John Hightower out of Boise State, something like that. But anyways, and then on Sunday, again, 6:15 p.m. Mountain Time, 8:15 Eastern, the Mile High Huddle draft community, the draft roundtable. It's going to be the Huddle Up podcast. It's going to be Building the Broncos with Nick and Carl, and Eric and I are going to join together with Luke Patterson as well, and we're going to do our war room. We're going to have our roundtable mock draft. I'm not sure how exactly we're going to go with it. I think the Draft Network is what we're going to do. But anyways, guys, we'll find out. We're going to find out on Sunday. But anyways, guys.
So, Buona Beast, why do you think that Zach and I will come to blows? I mean, go ahead and hit me up on something else because we do got to get out of here. And then James, send us a link on Twitter to that CBS mock draft, and we will look at breaking that down too. I haven't seen it yet, so I saw a couple people say that it was terrible. I can't wait to see it, and we will definitely break that down as well if it is terrible.
Yeah. Hit us with the mock drafts you guys have seen. Get to us on Twitter. You can find me at Sanderson MHH. Whoops. You can find me at Sanderson MHH. You can find Eric at Erick Trickel. Notice the CK in Eric. Also, guys, if you get a chance, please make sure you are going and following at DVDD_pod. So it's a great way for us to update you on what we got going with the show and everything like that. Also, again, follow at Mile High Huddles for your instant updates and analysis on your Denver Broncos. Also, head on over to Huddle Up Pod. Go get some of these merch. We've got a whole bunch of our Super Chat superstars coming in with hats and hoodies and everything. I think we're going to get some more merch. It sounds like a coffee cup's coming soon. Hoping to get some DVD swag over on that way as well.
I'm hoping for a DVD tie, guys. I mean, if I had a tie with that, I would wear that. But yeah, that's what I'm waiting for.
Yep. All righty. Well, guys, for Eric, I'm Lance. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Y'all have a great night. You guys stay safe, take care, and have a great evening. Thanks, guys.